British Prime Minister Theresa May returning to the EU summit to hear the response from the other 27 nations. May requested a delay to the Brexit deadline to prevent the UK from crashing out of the EU on Friday. The decision came after 5 hours of deliberations, an extension until the end of October if need be. And European Council President Donald Tusk said he had a message for British lawmakers.
This extension is as flexible as I expected and a little bit shorter than I expected, but it's still enough to find the best possible solution. Please do not waste this time.
But there are conditions. If the UK cannot find a way to exit the EU before the 22nd of May, Britain will have to take part in the EU parliamentary elections. Many in the UK will be furious about the possibility of being involved in another round of EU elections. Theresa May said she was fully aware of this and that she wanted to get a deal done as quickly as possible. German Chancellor Angela Merkel took a softer tone than some leaders at the talks. She said she was pleased with the outcome and stressed the importance of making sure the process was not done too hastily. EU leaders say they will meet in June to review the progress made by British lawmakers. And Theresa May now has to go back and face the British House of Commons.
Well, for more now, let's cross over to DW's Bernd Riegert, who's standing by for us in Brussels and in London. We're joined by DW's Birgit Maas. Good morning to you both. Starting with you, Bernd, we heard in our report there EU leaders expressing satisfaction with the result, but getting an agreement wasn't easy, was it?
In these days, 6 hours to hammer out a compromise and arrive accidentally at the Halloween date, the 31st of October, because it was right in the middle between the French and the German demands. The French President Emmanuel Macron wanted a date set to June because he wants to save his project, Renaissance of Europe, and he doesn't want a disease of Brexit, as he put it, to spill over to the European elections. On the other hand, the Germans were more practical and pragmatic and said the Brits need time. So Angela Merkel pleaded for the 31st of December, and the compromise is right in the middle. And now we have to see if Britain actually can use this time and implement what is in this rather complicated deal that was found yesterday. They can leave at any time, but the last date would be the 31st of October, and it is not excluded that another extension will follow if they are not able to leave on the 31st of October.
Birgit, how does this extension look from Theresa May's perspective? Did she get what she was looking for this time?
Well, Theresa May is really dreading having to participate in the European elections, and she's still hoping that she somehow will manage to get a deal before that, so that doesn't need to happen. The art of compromise was on show in Brussels, and now is the question whether this can be replicated here in London when she talks to the Labour opposition, because this is still where the talks are at. She needs to find a compromise here with her partners, with the opposition, in order to persuade MPs in the House of Commons to come to some sort of conclusion. So it's not what she wanted, but she'll have to take this.
And what about these European elections? It's looking increasingly likely that Britain will be participating in them. How can the European Union sell this to European voters that a country that doesn't even want to be in the European Union is going to be voting in these elections?
It's very hard to predict what will happen in the next 6 weeks. It's only 6 weeks until the elections are coming up. Nothing has changed, actually, in Britain. The majority in the parliament is as it stands. The Prime Minister has no plan and also no authority to implement anything. So now the EU is looking on this election date, and it's a weird situation, as Jean-Claude Juncker, the Commission chief, put it. But it's manageable, and the preparations are starting right now as we speak, because Britain has to come up with candidates, return officers, ballot boxes and stuff like that. And everybody here in Brussels thinks they will actually take part in these elections. And then if they don't, this is also in the compromise, if they don't, then the crash out date would be the 1st of June.
Birgit, there's still a massive question mark hanging over Brexit. No one knows if or when the UK is really going to pull out. There's a new deadline, the end of October. How is this going down in London beyond Downing Street? What are Brexiteers up in arms?
They are indeed, Terry. We've had numerous calls for Theresa May to go. We've had David Davis, the former Brexit secretary, say that pressure on her will grow now. So a deep unhappiness also within the Conservative Party base. Those are the people that have to go out and drop the leaflets in people's houses. They have to go do this for the local elections, but also for the European elections. And there are reports that they are getting a lot of abuse and that they are really not happy having to do this. So Brexiteers are very incensed that this is happening, that this is thrown upon them. But of course there are others, those who are fighting for a different outcome, for a second referendum. They are determined to use the time and use it to challenge public opinion and get their second referendum through and maybe change the course of the outcome of this whole Brexit process altogether in a really dramatic way.
Uncertainty on both sides of the channel. Birgit, thank you so much. Birgit Maas there in London and in Brussels. DW's Bernd Riegert, thank you very much to you both.